Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Gaming Life 200 from repaved super speedway version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. My name is David Westergreen. Joining me tonight, as always, are David Huckleberry producing and Zach Evans, my co-broadcaster. And Zach, as we go to, from a couple of crazy races, including Bristol last week, a full distance race here, we're only running 130 laps around Atlanta in the super speedway version. What are your thoughts as we approach this kind of crazy potential for a race here?
Well, I think this one's going to be a real wild card for these guys. Not just is this the first time the Elite Cup Series has raced on the updated version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm sure for a lot of people, this is going to be their first time running it under the lights. And frankly, with the way practice was set up tonight, what we're about to see is going to be the first time any of these guys have been on track tonight with more than 7 or 8 of their closest friends. So nobody, I think, really knows what to expect with this race.
Yeah, all the various challenges being thrown at these drivers tonight is certainly going to change the complexion of this race. And what we've seen from this season as we take a look at our Belly Up Sports Cup Series Championship standings here before we get going on the grid. Ethan Stanley, Tyler Fody, Ethan Burrell kind of separated themselves a little bit, but last week's winner, David Tooker, making some inroads on their points lead. We'll jump straight into that starting grid and hopefully go from the front to the back here as Tate Lytle will take the pole. For Pro Edge, he'll find his teammate Ethan Burrell starting second. Another really strong run by the Ethans there tonight. Tyler Fody will start third. He's second in points in the 40 car. Nick Delicato's fourth after he's had a bit of a disappointing season. Look for the 10 to make some moves tonight. Jeff Green, 2000 Busch Series champion, starts in fifth. Andrew Rucker will roll from sixth tonight. Trey Holmes rolls from seventh, and Justin Fortner will start eighth. Ryan Gable will start ninth for Lake Norman, and his teammate Ethan Stanley will start from 10th. Jonathan Cutlip starts 11th, and Justin Wadsworth will start in 12th.
Starting in the 13th position will be Joshua Personette. 14th will be Johnny Thomas. 15th, Dustin Dewar. 16th, Josh Adams. 17th will be Seth Rawls. Chad Frankenfield rolls off 18th. 19th will be a Leighton Norgard. 20th, Matthew Weeks. And then on row 11, Richie Hearn and Mike DeWalt. And on the 12th row, Jesse Racimus, Justin Vandermarl.
Harold Campbell starts 25th. Ray Bracey starts 26th. Chris Wright will start 27th. Kyle Hanshaw 28th. Ryan Schold 29th. Jordan Owens 30th. Michael Hosack will start 31st. Gavin Hibbs will start 32nd. Casey Att starts 33rd. David Tooker starts 34th. Chris Stouffer will go from 35th. Josh Clark will go from 36th. Hunter Smith will start 37th. Michael Goodman 38th. Mark Rabilas 39th. And then on back, you can see the rest of these guys: Josh Robin, Zach Rogers, Scott Crump, Nick Massey, and Brent Jones starting way at the back of this field. But up front, Tate Lytle and Ethan Burrell will lead us to the green. This thing happens quick at this Super Speedway Atlanta. Pace car already off as these drivers form up and get ready to do 130 laps. Green flag is out. Tate Lytle gets on the loud pedal. He and Tyler Fody drafting to the line, but it's Ethan Burrell that gets to that start-finish line first in the 37 car. He'll have help from Nick Delicato up top.
And right off the bat, you'll see these cars drafting away. But you also saw there at the very back of the picture, Ryan Gable, starting from pit road, had an issue getting into his car for the start of the race. He'll be lucky to catch the tail of this draft at the start here. Could be a tough night for Ryan Gable if he doesn't get a quick yellow.
Tyler Fody looking to the outside as we roll around. We'll keep our eye on Ryan Gable. This is very much a drafting track, just like Talladega, just like Daytona. It'll be easy for Ryan Gable to lose the pack if he is not in the draft, and I believe he will not be. He is well off the back of the field right now. Ethan Burrell trying to get that outside line going, but it's all Tate Lytle up front. He leads lap one. Tyler Fody, Nick Delicato, and Andrew Rucker following in single file on the bottom. Round good gum, and now Tyler Fode cuts out from behind Tate Lytle. He'll look for the lead with that number 40 Lake Norman Motorsports Chevrolet. That'll pull Ethan Burrell right up to the back bumper of Tyler Fode. Looks like that outside line starting to surge. We heard that the outside line might be dominant tonight. Right now, it's kind of been even so far. Some of those guys preferring to drive to that bottom lane, use the shorter way around. Some guys preferring to run up next to the wall, try to keep the momentum up. I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not the tires wear with this next-gen car. A little bit less horsepower, potential for a little bit less on the tire wear action, where we have it more like a standard super speedway race for these guys. Yeah, I'll keep going here, see if we can get Zach back here, but Tyler Fode, Ethan Burrell, first and second here. Justin Fortner up to third. Ethan Stanley is up to fourth. We might have Zach back. He said his computer, we're experiencing a little bit of computer difficulties on the end of co-announcer Zach Evans. Ethan Stanley getting to the outside of Justin Fortner. He'll have to back out of that. That was going to be a wreck. If Stanley kept in the gas and got to the outside of Fortner, that would probably wad them both up and maybe 10 or 12 more cars in this pack. So Stanley keeps it in behind the 26 for now. It's all Tyler Fode up front, and I would be remiss to tell you that Tyler Fode leading a race in a super speedway, that's pretty common sight around here. He's very aggressive at these plate tracks, likes to keep the lead, does not like to drive to the back of the field and hang out like you'll see a lot of guys do from time to time tonight. For now, it is all Tyler Fode. He's got drafting help from Ethan Burrell. They're keeping a stranglehold on that outside lane, and I think I can bring Zach back in here, see if he can get us some more insight on the tires, maybe.
Well, I don't know about insight on the tires. I can tell you it's a lot harder to call these cars going 195 miles per hour when your computer decides it just wants to do about 5 frames per second. But I think we're good now, and certainly seeing this side-by-side racing unfolding here as we're 7 laps into the Gaming Life 200. Again, I don't know that I haven't had a chance to speak to a lot of drivers tonight, but one thing that typically with this updated version of Atlanta that contrasts it from Daytona and Talladega is the tire wear is more of a factor. It's a little bit harder to keep the car stable, especially as you heat up the tires on corner exit. I'm not going to be surprised if that's the case tonight with these cars as well.
Right, and like you said earlier, these guys do not have the practice time in the pack at speed that you would otherwise expect. Usually they're going to be aggressive in practice, try to learn how the car handles after 15, 20 laps running, packed up, and how much they can do in terms of bump drafting and 3-wide maneuvering. And in this practice, we were kind of split up. We're not sure if it's an iRacing deal or what, but these guys are kind of going in without practice. And back in the field right now, Josh Robbins 3-wide with Jordan Owens and Michael Goodman. It might even separate the pack right here. They're racing 3-wide between guys trying to push forward, guys trying to kind of hang back, and right now that aggression might split the pack up a little bit. I'm also curious as to whether or not that can happen tonight, but this next-gen car has such a big pull and such a big draft and a big wake. I don't know that it will, unless we get, of course, green flag pit stop.
Right, I think that's the biggest challenge we'll see tonight is if we do get those green flag pit stops, because another thing to keep in mind on that front, while there's not going to be the speed limit enforced like there is in the real world at Atlanta during a green flag pit stop, the drivers are being required to pull down to the apron through turns 3 and 4 during a green flag pit cycle. So that's going to be, without a speed limit, I mean, that's going to be huge. How much speed can you carry on old tires through that apron? That's going to be, honestly, one of the biggest differentiators we've ever seen during a green flag pit stop in one of these races. So it's, I'm going to wager not too many people practiced it.
No, and they definitely didn't practice it with regard to at speed with other cars out there on track, because they couldn't. So let's see if these guys can potentially figure it out on the fly. I think that'll be the big kicker, is can they figure it out? And like they're figuring out how to race side by side right now, how much they can push, how much space they can give the cars around them, which lanes are the fast ones. They don't have any of that experience right now. They're very much on a green racetrack. Kind of reminds me of when as Tate Lytle is going to finally take the lead back from Tyler Fode, inside line surges forward here. Reminds me of when like a group of race cars would run on a track where it rained the night before. The track would get really green. Nobody knows how the track's going to react, how the cars are going to react. And the first 25 laps or so, everybody kind of feels it out, and NASCAR used to throw a competition caution. And now it's stages, they don't do that, but here we're not worried about that. These guys are going to get in rhythm. They got to figure it out and do so on the fly at speed and see if they can do it without wrecking each other.
And so far, they've been able to do that for 14 laps already. 10% of the race already in the books here. Now we'll start lap 15 here at the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tate Lytle leading the way in that second lane. That's another thing with Atlanta compared to your Daytona or Talladega. I'm not saying you won't see it, but it's going to be a lot harder to make.
Oh, well, like right here.
That! Oh, boy. Yeah, that was a close moment there. I believe that was Jeff Green that was looking to the side of Andrew Rucker and had thoughts of 3 wide, but ultimately had to back out of it after the contact between those two cars. But that was kind of right on cue. I don't know how much we're going to see that 3 wide racing here tonight.
We'll see a little bit for sure. We saw a little bit earlier. Guys are trying to move forward against the flow of guys trying to hang out at the back of the field. I think that's some of the places you'll see it. But if anything, I would wager we don't see a whole lot of it till halfway. Looked to me like Jeff Green kind of didn't quite get on the binders as quickly as Rucker and Delicato in front of him for a little bit of a checkup, and found himself in a spot he didn't want to be in. But no harm, no foul. Everything's okay for now. These guys remain straight, and the Tyler Fode Pro Edge sandwich with him between Tate Lytle and Ethan Burrell remains the leaders up on the top of the racetrack. Nick and Delicato unable to mount a charge just yet with that push from Andrew Rucker, and everything kind of stalemated right now. And it's probably too early to start thinking about when these guys are going to have to pit, but I'm wondering if they can make this race on one stop and whether or not they'll be able to pit under green flag conditions if they do manage to make it all the way to the need for fuel. So here comes Jeff Green on Rucker this time.
Yeah, and Rucker's all by himself in that middle lane. This is not going to be good news for him. Falling back, and he's got to lose a lot of spots here. I don't know where he's going to find a hole, to be completely honest, as the field works its way through this front stretch, and absolutely nobody coming to his rescue. There he finally is able to drop down to the inside, but I mean that cost him multiple positions, as I believe I'm seeing him running about 14th now.
Yep, 14th on the bottom, about 6th car on the bottom now from the 2nd car on the bottom, and a 6th place qualifying run for Andrew Rucker. He's not quite had maybe not the luck, maybe not the results that he was hoping for this season thus far, but he did go out and win himself an ARCA race a couple of weeks ago on Tuesday Night Series. So momentum certainly coming along with Andrew Rucker, and it's something where he can potentially turn that into some good results, as there's some jostling at the back between Brent Jones and someone else back there. Didn't quite catch who it was. Looks like they all sorted it out back at the back of the field as well. Let's see what the other car was. It might have been Jordan Owens in the 16. They have sorted it out. Everything is okay at the back of the field now. They almost went 3 wide for a minute.
Way in the back, I don't know if maybe a couple of these cars were involved in that skirmish, but a second pack is forming at the, about 8 seconds back of the leaders, starting with Nick Massey, Scott Crump. Ryan Gable, of course, is part of that group, along with Michael Hossack, Mark Rabilis, and Kyle Hanshaw. So they at least have each other. I don't know if it's enough, but is mitigated the damage at least for Ryan Gable, where he's not completely by himself and losing gobs of time on a lap-by-lap basis.
Yeah, they're losing about a tenth to 2/10 per lap running this single file line where the pack is all doubled up. Up front, Jeff Green has taken the lead away, got around Nick and Delicato, and got in front of Tate Lytle and managed to go grab the lead. He is now playing both lanes at the front of this field, and Jeff Green is one guy we've seen be pretty good at these elite plate tracks. Likes to lead, likes to throw some blocks in that front to keep the car ahead. As Nick and Delicato looks to the middle of the racetrack to try and maybe get some clean air on the nose of that 10 car, see if it'll work to the top in front of Tate Lytle, and indeed he does.
Oh, what a
another
huge
battle for the lead.
That was a huge push from Trey Holmes to Jeff Green there as they were going through the front stretch, but it has not quite seemed to have the effect there. Nick and Delicato pulling that outside line with Tate Lytle in tow, trying to get out front in that 10 car.
And Trey Holmes with a big push to the back bumper of Jeff Green. He's still pushing him through the center of turn 3. Look at the gap Trey Holmes has opened up to his teammate Jonathan Cutlip behind. And that'll push Jeff Green to the lead at the start-finish line. Big push on the bottom there. I think we knew the outside line with that momentum is probably going to be the preferred line tonight. But what you're seeing out of Trey Holmes is that inside line can work. And it's going to be risky to do so. He almost jacks Jeff Green sideways. And it allows Nick and Delicato to take the lead up on that outside lane, but these guys are just going to have to understand what kind of pushes they can give, because that was a big aggressive push by Trey Holmes to keep Jeff Green up here battling for the race lead. How much can they get away with? And as they learn that, the pushes will become more and more aggressive as we click laps down. We're almost at 100 laps to go already.
Yeah, the laps are clicking off in a hurry. It's been a nice green flag run to start the Gaming Life 200. I think we're all excited to see that. And it's going to make it interesting because, again, not to keep harping on the point, but for a lot of these guys, this is probably the most laps they've turned consecutively tonight. And certainly it's their first time in this big pack. It's... I think everybody's got to be a little surprised whenever they get a chance to come to pit road, whether it's because of a caution or we do indeed have green flag pit stops to find out what their tire wear is like, what their fuel mileage might be, and everything else that goes along with that as they move forward with the rest of this race.
Absolutely right. You got to keep your mind on it, but then also if you're back in this field, as Tate Lytle now makes a move to the outside of Nick and Delicato, who drops to the bottom in front of Jeff Green. If you're in the middle of this pack, you got to be managing your tires, managing what time you're coming down pit road, maybe coordinating with the drivers around you, coordinating with teammates if you can find those near you. In a pack like this, right, there's a lot going on, even for those guys that are kind of more riding in the middle of the field here, like Leighton Norgard, Jesse Ursemus area. Those guys, they're not out actively making passes and trying to move forward, but they are thinking ahead. Right? When am I pitting? When am I, how am I working on my tires? Am I going to be able to make moves if this car does start to handle poorly? But in the nighttime, I'm kind of thinking this is going to look like a plate race all night long.
It's one thing to keep in mind because of this, how hard it is to make a move work, at least at this point in the race. Really, you look in the top 10, top 15, outside of Andrew Rucker getting shuffled out at one point, nobody in this top group has gained or lost more than about 2 or 3 positions. The biggest gainer, I guess, in this front group would be Dustin Dewar, going from, now 15th to 9th, as he's got a little bit of a run on that bottom side. The biggest gainer on track right now is Michael Goodman. He's up to the 23rd position after starting, I guess it would have been about 39th in our starting lineup or thereabouts, but he's been one of the few to pick up a lot of positions early on in this race. I'm trying to find, he started 39th and he's up to the 22nd position.
He and Josh Robin made their way forward a little bit, didn't plan on hanging out at the back. Those are the two that really picked up spots, but just about everybody else is kind of running in that double file line they started the race in effectively, right? I mean, a lot of these guys haven't done anything. They've just run the line they were originally assigned at the start of the race and have not moved. I think of Ethan Burrell. He started second. He's been on the top the whole race. He hasn't even dared try to move down. He's just chilling out.
Oh, here we go. Jeff Green. Oh. Well, you say that. Burrell jumps to the bottom as Jeff Green is leading that lane. Delicato went up to the top. Now it's Trey Holmes pushing Jeff Green trying to get that number 2 car to the front of the field, and Ethan Burrell, of course, now third in line on the bottom.
A remarkable turn of events. As I mentioned, that Ethan Burrell is the guy who has not moved from lanes. Changes lanes immediately. Shows what I know. Trey Holmes pushing very, very hard on the back bumper of Jeff Green. It is starting to unsettle Jeff Green's car. I think Trey's starting to realize he can't lock bumpers with this 2 car quite as much as he would hope. And right now, you're seeing that outside lane start to pull away. Ethan Burrell might wish he was back up in that outside lane, because the front 3, now the front 4 cars are clear of the bottom. Let's see if anybody makes a move in front of this Jeff Green car, maybe get some dirty air on it to try and tighten it up a little bit.
We'll see if they stick together on the high side or if they do drop back low. But now that low line getting a little bit more of a run. You can see more and more cars slowly moving up. That low line is definitely losing cars, which means it's got to lose energy. You're seeing further back more guys jumping up. But right now, up front, it's still dead even.
Josh Adams just jumped from the top to the bottom. He was one of the cars that had stayed in his assigned line the whole way through so far, but Adams in that 22 red and white car jumped to the bottom lane in front of Andrew Rucker. He's looking to make some moves forward, and that's the guy who knows how to get it done at the plate tracks. He's going to be very aggressive tonight, and Josh Adams is an open car, doesn't have a whole lot to lose, running for a trophy, and I expect old Josh Adams maybe working with Dusty Dewar here to try and move up to the front.
Now we're seeing that bottom lane is the one that's kind of breaking out a little bit, has about 4 cars out front. Will the top lane be able to surge back forward? We will see. But right now, I guess it's about 5 or 6 cars in a row that have broken free. Yeah, Josh Adams, that 6th place car, and almost was clear of Nick Indelicato going into turn 3 there.
Who's going to move up? Josh Adams, the first car to do so. He jumps in front of Nick Indelicato to try and grab the shove from that outside line. Adams with a really smart move to get to the bottom, right as the top stacked up. Now he's leading this top lane, trying to get to the outside of Dustin Dewar for 5th. Josh Adams on the move in the 22 car.
And this is where I think the tire wear is starting to come in for some of these guys. They're having to just find where their car works. There you see Jeff Green actually wash up the hill a little bit in turns 3 and 4 at the front of this field, and that might slow down that bottom lane a little bit. Here comes Jonathan Cutlip leading the charge on the high side in front of Josh Adams.
Yep, Cutlip jumped to the top, and we've talked about it all year long. Since Cutlip's struggles in the Daytona 500 and the subsequent couple of races where he was disconnected, finishing kind of dead last, we feel like Jonathan Cutlip needs to win a race. He just needs to get up here and win one. As Jeff Green gives Jonathan Cutlip a little bit of a door there in turn 3 and 4. That 2 car is really starting to lose the handle, and I think it's only a matter of time before Trey Holmes abandons him and kicks Jeff Green to the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, you're starting to see, we talked about we weren't sure what that tire wear was going to be like, but you're starting to see Jeff Green wash up the hill, especially in turns 3 and 4. We'll see how it fares this time, but regardless, is let the high side pick back up, and now it's the other side of that spectrum. You've got 3 cars out front on the high side.
Jonathan Cutlip leading Josh Adams and Nick Indelicato. Tate Lytle side by side with Jeff Green there for that 4th position. Behind them, Trey Holmes and Tyler Fode, both in the purple Chevrolets on your screen. And then it's Ethan Burrell and Justin Fortner and Dusty Dewar. That rounds out the top 10.
And some of the drivers are starting to talk about, what they're seeing, what they're feeling as far as those tires. And, we've got one car just got shoved through the grass. I see Michael Goodman is on track. I think everybody stayed straight there, but Michael Goodman and somebody else were involved in that, did not bring out the yellow. I don't think anybody ever actually hit anything solid, but definitely a scary moment out of turn 4 that time. And there's what happened, a little bit of contact with Justin Vandermarl. Goody's trying to save it, and that's where can't quite make out who that was.
Jordan Owens
that almost got doored onto pit road there. But and he eventually takes the detour through the grass. I think as long as he so he stayed to the right of the commitment cone, he should be fine. I'm sure any penalties would have been cleared regardless, but there shouldn't be any work for Robert Hill and race control to do with that one.
Nick Delicato going for the lead up front against Jonathan Cutlip. Can he make the slide job in front of the 5? He does. Put Nick Delicato up front for 3 Wide TV and Shift Esports, but Cutlip not real happy. He's going to the middle lane here on Delicato, but the 10 slams the door. That opens up the door for Josh Adams on the bottom of the racetrack.
Oh, and they're a little bit further back. They were 3 wide as part
They're still
of
3 wide. They're wrecking.
Up.
They're wrecking, but they might not cause a caution. Now Josh Clark's getting spun by the 20 on the apron. Yellow flag is thrown.
Now the caution is out. Oh,
they're wrecking big. Nick Massey's involved. And so I'm pretty sure I know what happened here. And there was a spinning car on the racetrack, and our race control admins just do not have the capability to throw a yellow when a yellow is warranted, and looks like a yellow was warranted and one was unable to be thrown as Josh Robin hits the ball a ton. I can't believe they caution it and throw.
Yeah, Josh Robin undoubtedly is broken at that point. But then we also have this going on. That's Mike DeWalt and Josh Clark coming together. I almost said Josh Adams. We have about 13 Joshes here in Elite. So Josh spins, but he's out of harm's way. But here's a broken Josh Robin, who is now spun in the middle of the racetrack, and Nick Massey's got to hit him a ton.
Yeah, that is a terrible break for Nick Massey. And if anyone is qualified to speak on this, it might be me, because I did this in one of our Grand National races one time, where sometimes iRacing just doesn't provide a caution flag when one is warranted for a car stopped on the racetrack, and Josh Robin should have been cautioned out there. And
can we go on board with the 48 there?
There's just nowhere to go when that happens. You come up on it so quickly, and the car's out in front of you, move out of the way. How can you react?
See, that's what I'm wondering. A, how much was his view obstructive of the incident? And B, I mean, frankly, Nick Massey with that kind of
oh my goodness
paint scheme, there was a little bit of camouflage going on too. Nick Massey, I don't think ever saw that there was an issue, and without the yellow flag to indicate there was a car in the middle of the racetrack, I'm not sure at any point until here he realized he was in trouble.
Oh my goodness. Feel terrible for Nick Massey too. That's just, it's not the way you want to go out in a race like this. And Massey had been hanging out behind the pack. He was actively trying not to get involved in a wreck, and winds up maybe the first car out of this race.
So what they did do is give everybody here a chance to pit. We did not see those green flag pit stops, so we weren't sure how close we were or not, but certainly the tire wear was starting to happen. Now we see Scott Crump making his way down pit road. I'm curious.
He and David Tooker stayed out,
So he stayed out for the points or whatever, and then came down pit road. Gotcha. Okay.
Crump, Tooker, and Hunter Smith stayed out, and I think part of Crump's strategy is to let the guys wreck in front of him and collect positions as things happen. He was in that pack with Nick Massey, just trying to dodge the wrecks, and he and Ryan Gable got around the spinning Robin. Massey did not.
There you see no further action from race control on that incident. There is also the lap 40 incident that did not bring out a caution was also ruled a racing incident.
That was one that involved Michael Goodman, Jordan Owens, and Owens gets to catch back up. So
yes,
this caution was definitely a benefit for him, as I don't believe Owens was collected in that one.
Yeah, everybody from that group that was laying back to those guys involved in that lap 40 incident, huge break for them.
Yeah, well, except for Nick Massey.
Except for Nick Massey.
Stacked up double wide. Jonathan Cutlip, the race leader. Josh Adams to his outside. They roll towards the restart zone. And Jonathan Cutlip will be on the loud pedal early. He goes and gets a fairly sizable jump on Nick Delicato and Josh Adams behind him. We'll see whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, as Cutlip rolls top and then drops down to the red line. The outside lane building energy in front of Jonathan Cutlip. What will he do? He blocks up the racetrack. Adams had to get out of it, and that almost stacked the outside lane up.
That was a big move, especially while these cars are still getting up to speed. I imagine that's going to go in a couple drivers' memory banks as we move forward tonight. And now Adams dropping to the low side to get around Jonathan Cutlip, or at least try to as they head into turn 1.
Adams drops to the bottom. Cutlip stays to the top of the racetrack in front of Tate Lytle. And Adams now with a push from his Ford duo of Nick and Delicato. Back in the field, Gerald Campbell dropping to the bottom lane. We didn't see many guys drop to the bottom in that last run. Mostly saw him moving to the top of the racetrack, but there, I think everybody kind of knows. It's especially after seeing the tire wear, these guys now know, right, that which lane is better. Most of these guys ran the top or the bottom. They know whether their tire wear was good. As Dusty Dewar's now in the middle, Chad Frankenfield up top.
There you see the field 2x2 working its way down the back stretch. And I mean, talk about Chad Frankenfield. We talked about it a lot last week, obviously. Not the night he was looking for at Bristol. Fell from 10th to 15th, and the points went from being, I won't say comfortably in the playoffs, but certainly on the right side of the bubble to now on the wrong side of the bubble. Really needs a good night tonight to get back on the horse, so to speak.
Right, and Chad also somewhat frustrated with, just he said, I'm going to be more aggressive now. And what the I don't know what I want to call it tentative, but the agreeable Chad Frankenfield lasted, one race? He's back to driving normally, I believe, now. And you saw it there when he made a move 3 wide to the outside of Dustin Dewar to pick up a spot in the top 10 here. Running 9th right now is the 15th Chad Frankenfield.
Well, right now, whether it's face Chad Frankenfield or heel Chad Frankenfield or whatever it is, it's up to P9 at the moment for him. As we'll continue on and close in on halfway here.
See if Chad Frankenfield works with Justin Fortner, his teammate, a little bit. Fortner's been up front all night long, so I think it would behoove Chad to draft with his little eagle teammate here. They are stuck in behind two Lake Norman Chevrolets on the top of the racetrack. But other than that, it's a smorgasbord of different team cars here. You've got Fueled Up Racing and Jonathan Cutlip, and Jonathan and Tate have a really good relationship. And Cutlip's run for Pro Edge a number of times, but they're not specifically teammates. And you've got Tate Lytle you've got Josh Adams, Nick and Delicato. That's not a team car for Shift Esports there. But Cutlip now to the middle of the racetrack. He's going to get dropped into the sucker hole here. Let's see if Cutlip can avoid falling too far back. Right now, not looking good, but it looks like Trey Holmes' teammate will let him in.
Yeah, Trey Holmes. Okay, a tally has been issued to Hunter Smith, I believe, is what I just heard. Not sure what may have happened there. We see he's well back, so I'm guessing there must have been some kind of incident.
Lap 52 says Race Control Robert Hill. See if we can find a replay of the potential incident for you guys at home. I'll keep us abreast of what's going on at the front of the field. It's still Tate Lytle, Tyler Fody, Josh Adams, and Ethan Stanley. Here's the incident in question. Ooh, looks like Hunter Smith got into Scott Crump.
Yep. Contact there between those two guys, and fortunately it looks like Crump is able to gather it up there.
Did Jordan Owens go across the grass again?
Jordan Owens is going to be on the Atlanta Motor Speedway payroll by the end of tonight, I fear.
As a lawnmower, right? Yeah. That's almost the exact same track he took last time. And Owens, again, unscathed, and he might even be in a better spot now. He might not get wrapped up in any wrecks.
I believe he may have gained a couple of spots from that for sure. But I'm sure he'd also really like to stop having to do that.
Yeah. I think he would prefer to be on the racetrack for all of his circuits tonight. Gordon Mowens. There you go.
Oh, Robert. That's a good one. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a really good one.
That might stick for a little while.
We'll get him a highlight reel or something. 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Dusty Dewar has been shoved to the outside. Johnny Thomas through to the middle. Ethan Burrell following suit. Now here comes Richie Hearn. They're still 3 wide.
Yeah, this is gotta be now it's sorted itself out. I think everybody's a little happier for it. I think from about Ray Bracey and Richie Hearn on back, that was about to be a little bit more of a pucker moment than they wanted to deal with when you're not exactly in a competing position, just kind of trying to hang out in the middle of this pack and not into too much trouble.
They're 3 wide at Andrew Rucker back in the field here. Rucker's 3 with David Hooker and Gavin Hibbs. They are still going at it back here. Hibbs now clears by Rucker. Goody and Rucker make contact entering turn 1, and everything gets through okay. Rucker falling back a little bit. I think he might have gotten checked up when that near incident happened up at the front.
Yeah, Andrew Rucker, it's not been the start of the night he hoped for.
They're 3 wide again, front of the field. Sorry to cut you off, Zach.
That's way up at the front of the field there, Chad Frankenfield.
Josh Adams.
Justin Wadsworth is on the outside, but he's got to get clear of the 3 wide there. Oh, hip check into the wall for Dustin Dewar.
And Chad Frankenfield. That's a wreck waiting to happen. Ethan Burrell is in this mix in the middle of the racetrack. Right now it's Chad Frankenfield all by himself in the middle of the track. Now he's going to have some help. Jeff Green.
And Nick Indelicato in front of them. This has turned into 3x3x3. I don't like this a bit.
No, this isn't what you want to see. If you're one of these guys up at the front, you're definitely hoping these guys can keep it together, especially if you're in the middle of this pack. I just don't know if there's anywhere to go to get out of a wreck. On this small field, Gerald and Chad make contact in turn 2.
And now Johnny Thomas, where is it? Okay, there he goes. He sails into the bottom there. I thought for a second Johnny Thomas was going to have a mad lad moment and try to push Chad out of the sucker hole. He thinks better of it, sticks with Gerald Campbell on the low side here. And boy, Chad has been all alone in this middle lane for a long time, and now Matthew Weeks has got to jump from the top to the bottom and keep right on trucking as we see a couple of cars there on the apron.
Oh my Johnny with a slams to the top in front of Ethan Burrell outside of Gerald Campbell. All this has happened. Tate Lytle has now lost the lead to Tyler Fode. Trey Holmes is up to 2nd. Josh Adams 3rd. Nick Indelicato 4th. That group at the front has really just kept shuffling the lead back and forth. The big gainer, you can see him there in 6th place now, is Justin Vandermarl. He has joined his fueled-up teammates. In fact, he's bypassed Jonathan Cutlip. He's up here near where Trey Holmes is, running at the front of the field. The other guy moving forward, that's P8, Matthew Weeks, in that 11 car.
Justin Wadsworth kind of played Indiana Jones there for a second. He was one of the last cars to get around the outside before the 3 wide broke out. And now he's about to see it again.
They're still going. Gerald Campbell to the middle. Gerald would call it the sucker hole. Or the garbage chute, potentially. He and Chad still banging doors in turn 2. Jonathan Cutlip now to the middle, trying to go around Chad using that middle lane. Up front, Josh Adams leads. Trey Holmes running 2nd. Tyler Fode's probably going to want to take the lead after the end of the next lap and grab that halfway point.
Still 3 wide back here. Richie Hearn might have gotten a piece of the wall there going through the dog leg.
Coming to the stage here this lap. End of this lap, it's going to be Tyler Fode and Tate Lytle versus Josh Adams. I think Tyler's going to take it right here to the bottom of the racetrack. There goes Tyler Fode going for the stage point. Will he get the push from Tate Lytle? He will not. Josh Adams is going to win the stage.
There you have it. Josh Adams, and also you see Josh Clark, Kyle Hanshaw, Josh Robin, Nick Massey, 6 laps down at a super speedway track. They will be parked for the evening, and these guys are catching a slow car as well. Jordan
Owens does go a lap down. Too many trips through the grass for Jordan, but he can get back on the lead lap if he remains the first car on track 1 lap down. We only park the guys for going more than 6 laps down. Jordan just the first lap down. He will be the only car 1 lap down for right now, as Adams, Delicato leading this outside line. Ethan Stanley has risen up to 3rd. Tyler Fode and Tate Lytle tandem drafting on the bottom in 4th and 5th.
And with Owens, he's at a tough spot here because he doesn't want to just pull over. He wants to be able to catch somewhere in this draft, and now he has kind of found a spot in the bottom lane because his car is probably not damaged at all. It could probably run just as fast as these guys in the draft. He just needed to be able to get the draft. And now he's kind of in the middle of these battles, and it's probably going to inconvenience a couple of people, but that's exactly what he needs to do. Stay that one lap down, get a free pass. If the caution comes out, he'll be right back in the thick of this thing.
And most importantly, not be in the caution.
Well,
for
yes,
Jordan Owens.
of course. Yes, which is easier said than done, but...
Up front, Nick Indelicato has driven to the inside, out from behind his Ford teammate up here at the front, Josh Adams. Now he will jump to the back to the top lane and take the lead over from Josh Adams. So Nick Indelicato has been a pretty steady presence at the front of the field here in this Atlanta race. Qualified up front. He's been running up front. It's amazing what happens to this 10 car when he puts in a good qualifying lap and starts at the front of the field. He's really inconvenienced himself a number of times this season by qualifying at the back of the field.
And now you see Adams trying to push Indelicato out front, and he's definitely there now. Indelicato drops to the bottom, at least for now, in front of Fode. I think you're going to see some old school Dale Earnhardt Jr. action here from Nick Indelicato. He's got to try to play both lanes and stay in front here. But now, like you were saying, 3 wides forming up again further back.
Tyler Fode dices to the outside in front of Josh Adams. He'll go for the race lead.
Ooh.
Once again, Adams with a big push to the back bumper of the 40 car. Tate Lytle engages the back bumper of the 10 of Nick Indelicato up front. And back in the field, Gerald Campbell, Richie Hearn are still trying to sort out who has the control of 13th place right here. They finally do decide it's Gerald Campbell in control of that spot, and they step away from that 3-wide action for a moment. We go back to the front of the field, and Tyler Fode has assumed control over this race.
Definitely no shortage of excitement so far tonight, but right now Tyler Fode leading the way. Josh Adams running in that second spot. Ooh, big move. Was that Indelicato that got sideways there?
Yeah, Tate Lytle got him just a little bit off center, and it sent the 10 car a little bit squirrely there through the tri-oval. That's going to give a big run to the outside lane. Fortner clear. Wadsworth is clear. Dusty Dewar trying to get clear in the 32. Do good car, he will. Move Dusty Dewar up to P5. Here comes the 32.
And once again, Gerald Campbell going 3 wide. This time he's between John. Well, he was between Cutlip and Lytle. Now he's falling back. It's not even worth my trouble to tell you who he's between. It's changing every couple of seconds. Now he finds a hole to get back in the high side.
Gerald has been extremely aggressive. And, we talked about Josh Adams not really running for points. There's another guy, Gerald Campbell. He ain't running for points. He's out here trying to collect a trophy. That's a guy who's a multi-time champion in this series. He's a guy that can go out here and definitely win this race if given the opportunity. Up front, however, it's Tyler Fode, pushed by Josh Adams, and they are tandem drafted away from the field. Ethan Stanley is now up to 3rd with Dusty Dewar and Justin Fortner battling for 4th. Stanley now to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll try to lead the bottom with his teammate leading the outside lane.
Oh, there's Indelicato, 3 wide middle. We'll see if that works out for the 10 car. Nobody's there to help him. I think he's got to lose a couple of spots here. Oh, Cutlip blinks. He's back.
Gerald goes to the middle for Indelicato's rescue.
Gerald Campbell, he's there backing up Nick Indelicato. We'll see if they can get that 3rd lane going. Richie Hearn seems at least interested in trying to get down in that middle lane. Meanwhile, the bottom is really out of sorts up front. They're not quite getting lined up there with Ethan Stanley and Dustin Dewar, and it's allowing that top side to really break free.
You know why? It's because the middle lane keeps coming to life and side drafting the cars behind them, so they can't generate any energy behind Dusty Dewar and Ethan Stanley. Dewar's pushing Stanley pretty effectively. Even Tate Lytle's tightened up to the back bumper of the 32, but behind that, Trey Holmes keeps getting pulled off of him, and Jeff Green keeps getting pulled back. Those guys haven't been able to generate a run until just now, and here comes Ethan Stanley surging up to 3rd spot. Three wide again.
Another 3 wide. Here comes
Oh, they're going to wreck Chad and Richie.
That's Richie Hearn in the wall.
There it is. Caution is out. Let's see if anybody gets collected. Rucker gets collected.
In it.
Hibbs, I think, is going to get involved. Which, I mean, color me shocked, am I right? After him nearly winning last week at Bristol.
So we'll see what happens here on the Mark Rebellis replay machine, but I think it's going to be a case of Richie Hearn runs the 15 into the wall, and now everybody's got to pile in behind that. Nick and Delicato gets a piece. There's
Hibbs.
Gavin Hibbs. There's Andrew Rucker with a little assistance from Michael Goodman, I do believe.
Ooh.
Well, another tough break for a lot of those drivers who need a good run tonight.
Yep, Chad Frankenfield doesn't gonna get. Well, it's gonna be Richie Hearn getting the tally on this one.
Oh,
Gerald Campbell got knocked sideways by Ryan Skold, but a good job avoiding. And you saw he's on the screen right there on the far left of your screen. That is Jordan Owen. He was a lap down. He dodged the wreck, did not get involved. That car will be back on the lead lap.
And this might be a good chance, especially with the green flag runs we've had tonight, to squeeze in a commercial break before we go back racing here at Atlanta.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down. 3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Welcome back. We are 1 to green here in the Gaming Life 200 for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Tyler Fode, your race leader after pit stops. Ethan Stanley running second. Josh Adams running third. Dustin Dewar running fourth. And with only 50 laps left in this race, these guys can go to the end on the fuel cycle that they've got. I think it's no longer time to be hanging back. It's going to be time to start making moves to the front. And I think this thing's about to get chaotic.
One thing to keep in mind before we go green, David Tooker, there was a little bit of a stack up at pit entry. He was not able to get into his pit stall the first time down pit road. Had to come back down after everybody else had pitted. He's at the back of the field.
Damaged cars of Ethan Burrell, Nick and Delicato, Chad Frankenfield, Andrew Rucker all restarting well at the back of the field in this one as well. So a lot of guys going to be trying to make their way through the big pack to the front of the field here. Tyler Fode, Ethan Stanley, Lake Norman Motorsports teammates on the front row. Into the restart zone. Green flag is out. And Tyler Fode with a big jump on Dusty Dewar. Dewar with a pretty bad start. If I'm being honest, the front 3 have jumped away and the field a little bit spread out behind him.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a disjointed restart. That's going to allow Josh Adams to jump up to the high side, and Dustin Dewar's going to say, well, all right, then I'll go to the bottom. I'll push Ethan Stanley. A little bit of a shuffle at the front of the field. Tyler Fode leading the way.
And Adams with a big block on that 32 car to try and get in line behind Tyler Fode up there at the front. Jonathan Cutlip, Trey Holmes, and Justin Vandermarl, all three fueled up racing Chevrolets, lined up 3-4-5 on that outside lane. Very impressive run by Vandermarl and Holmes to get up there right behind Cutlip.
Quick note of housekeeping as well. Richie Hearn did disconnect. Clearly the damage too much for that 73 car to continue this evening as we continue to watch Tyler Fode lead the way. Josh Adams pushing them out front, but it's kind of like we always say, you can only get so far ahead in these pack races. You know, at some point that car's got to start to lose its momentum or overheat, and these drivers behind are got to swarm those two guys up front.
Waiting for that inside line to get going. It seems like the outside line is the only one moving right now. Matthew Weeks now jumps down in front of Ethan Stanley. He'll try to make the inside line work, and that's kind of I think it's maybe the second time I've called Matthew Weeks' name today. He has been kind of not near the front of the field here, but he is surging forward right now up to P4. Got help from Ethan Stanley. This is an opportunity for Matthew Weeks to really get up here and try to make his mark in this race.
Matthew Weeks leading that low side at the moment. Ethan Stanley and Dustin Dewar behind him. And he is Matthew Weeks alongside Trey Holmes in that 88 car. You mentioned those teammates. Justin Vandermarl behind Trey Holmes.
All three of them just riding in the outside line, third, fourth, and fifth up there. Down on the bottom, it's Weeks, Stanley, Dewar, Jeff Green, Dewar and Green teammates in this series, and then Gerald Campbell, who's been one of the more aggressive drivers that we've seen so far tonight.
Gerald did want us to make sure to give a shout out to his mom watching tonight, tuning in, enjoying the action, and Gerald's putting on a show for Mama Campbell and everybody else watching on the Elite Racing Network this evening, no doubt about that.
You know, Zach, we've got a tally on Chris Stouffer for an incident lap 85. That would have been just a lap ago. And I'm seeing a pretty sizable gap after the back of this field. We got several guys 2.5 seconds off this field now. Stouffer even further back than that. Might have to take a look and see what happened back there. Up front, still Tyler Fode leading the way on the outside. Matthew Weeks leading the way on the inside, and we'll get you that replay of the incident that gave Chris Stouffer a tally. I don't know, 85? There it is. There it is. Oh man, that happened even before that. Stouffer was sideways entering the corner. Same as it was up front, and that was a big incident.
Yeah, so they're 3 wide here, and I don't think Chris realized it. Comes down into, I believe that's Gavin Hibbs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
scatter underneath.
Yeah, I think it looks like everybody else stays out of it.
Yep. I think we're good. But Stouffer nearly triggering a bigger crash than it was.
And I think, unfortunately, while we were looking at that, there was an incident involving Ryan Schold where he has been issued a tally, as I believe what I just heard from Race Control. We'll get the confirmation here, I'm sure, on screen shortly.
And we did get that. I think it was even earlier than this. Up front, it's Tyler Fode on the outside. Jonathan Cutlip has run to the bottom in front of Matthew Weeks, just threw a big block on him. And now Trey Holmes has dropped to the bottom to lead that inside line. As we look into what happened with Ryan Schold, didn't find it. Well, a tally was issued to Ryan Schold, and up front, 2 purple cars. Tyler Fode and Trey Holmes leading each lane, and Trey has had a really good run tonight, and Ethan Burrell is the one who tweeted out, "Hey, look out for Trey Holmes tonight. I think he's going to have a really good run." And thus far, Ethan's tweet has been very prophetic because that 88 I don't think it's fallen further than like 6th or 7th in this pack. He's been up there the whole night.
And now he's got to be fighting for the lead, leading that bottom lane, trying to get that momentum built up. Tyler Fode still leading from the high side there with Josh Adams in tow. Right now the teammates split up. You have Trey Holmes on the low side, Justin Vandermeer on the high side. I have to imagine if he can get clear, he'll want to drop down in front of Trey Holmes and get those cars hooked up again. But right now it's the bottom side with the momentum.
Yep, big run by Trey. Oh, Trey got turned sideways by Cutlip.
He's good. He's got it through the grass. It's obviously going to hurt him a ton. He's going to have to join this second group if he can. I don't know if he's going to be able to.
He might join the third group. Either way, it's not a wrecked car, and Trey Holmes may yet be able to make his way back to the front, but a very disappointing result. And, man, I don't think I've ever seen my announcer jinx work quite that quickly. We were on one tonight.
Yeah, that was a huge moment for Trey Holmes. Did well to save that, but certainly just when it looked like the night was coming together for him, he goes spinning through the grass, and now we go back up front. Tyler Fode, Josh Adams still up front.
We've lost Tate Lytle. Tate Lytle disconnected. I'm looking back at what happened to the 56. Looks like there is damage. He may have gotten involved in the Schold incident. Go ahead and roll forward there, Dave. I'll let you know what lap. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So it's 87. Schold jumped 3 wide and caught Tate in the left rear and sent him into the wall.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to rewind.
Oh, they're going to wreck on the back straightaway. Justin Fortner gets spun to the inside. Didn't catch who he took down there with him. Big break for Trey Holmes, as we mentioned. As well as a number of other guys that ended up way off the back of the field. Tyler Fode still retains the lead. It's Josh Adams, Vander Marl, and Matthew Weeks, the top 4. Let's take a look at what happened on the Rebel S replay cam. Oh, it started way up more in the front.
And it starts with Easton Stanley getting into Jonathan Cutlip. Now they're got to check up. And Dustin Dewar kind of gets a little out of shape with Scott Crump, and that collects Justin Fortner. Just kind of one of those domino effects you could see there. Fortner is locked up, but the car just wouldn't stop, and it slides right into the path of Michael Goodman.
Oh, Goody.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Goody because, I mean, like I say, you could tell from the front wheels, the brakes were locked up for Justin Fortner, and the car just did not stop in time.
Yeah, and, oh, man. Goody sees Rucker jump to the outside, but I think someone was side by side with Goody at that point. And disappointing for sure for Michael Goodman. He had worked his way up pretty well, but he had been kind of falling back for that. He was running in the second pack, just did not have time to check up for the car sliding back up the track in front of him. Now we re-rack things. I do wonder, Dave, do we want to go ahead and get our ad reads in right here while we have this caution flag?
Sure, I can do that. Let me get the ad reads pulled up here. So this is, of course, the race sponsor for tonight is the Gaming Life. On the Gaming Life YouTube channel, the extraordinary is ordinary. With weekly shorts, interactive polls, and high-quality video projects, you won't find this kind of content anywhere else. Subscribe and join TGL Nation, or join TGL Nation today for a look at the past, present, and future of racing games. This is TGL Studios. This is extraordinary. Our series sponsor, of course, is Belly Up Sports, the internet sports bar, sports commentary via podcasts, forums, and articles on topics ranging to nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out at X or at bellyupsports.com. Our premier sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. So don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Worldwide Technology Raceway. We saw our 2 new ads from Worldwide Technology Raceway. That's a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri. Features a 1.25-mile oval that hosts NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They have a 2-mile infield road course used by Speed Tour Trans Am, SCCA, and the Porsche Club of America. A quarter-mile NHRA-sanctioned drag strip that hosts the annual NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series Midwest Nationals event. And finally, they have the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. Finally, our last premier sponsor is 4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D sim racing shoes are custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can and provide all the comfort needed for those double and triple stints. So visit 4dracewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet. Those are our sponsors for tonight.
Great timing.
Yeah, Gerald, or as Dave gets us back to the front of the field here, worth noting, we're going to have to update that ad read. It didn't mention the NASCAR Xfinity Series coming to Worldwide Technology Raceway next year, as you saw in those advertisements.
That'll be exciting, especially with some young Phenoms getting full-time rides in that Xfinity Series. Tyler Fode, not one of those young Phenoms. He's up here at the front of the field with Josh Adams on the front row. Green flag is out through the restart zone, and Tyler Fode will choose whichever lane he prefers here in turn one. Got a big jump on the rest of the field.
This just in, David Westergreen calling Tyler Fode an old fart. Nevertheless, Fode out front on the restart. Justin Vandermarle in second. Justin Wadsworth up to third. I think that's about as high as we've seen that 6 car tonight.
Vandermarle and Wadsworth now working in behind Tyler Fode. Vandermarle not a Lake Norman Chevrolet. Wadsworth and Stanley both are. So is Scott Crump right behind Ethan Stanley. So a bunch of Lake Norman Chevrolets out here on the bottom of the racetrack. I think they're going to try to get in front of Justin Vandermarle and try and line up 1, 2, 3 here on the bottom.
Fode to the high side, Wadsworth to the high side. Now it's got to be...
Here comes Adams. Wadsworth to the big block. That opens the door for Matthew Weeks up top. Adams lifts, and it allows the 3 wide in behind Justin Wadsworth.
Oh, that's tied up against the wall there for Matthew Weeks.
Got Jonathan Cutlip helping him out, though, up top. All of this is allowing that bottom lane to surge forward. Look at some of these names that we have not seen today. Michael Hosack up into the top 10. Jesse Racimus up into the top 10.
Josh Adams kind of trapped in the middle at the moment. He might have an escape here to the high side unless Seth Rawls fills the hole.
There was a near incident on the back straightaway. Gerald Campbell got squirrely, and it stacks the whole field up. Now here goes Campbell rolling through the grass. He's not going to save it. They're going to wreck. Josh Adams, Jesse Racimus, Chad Frankenfield involved.
Huge wreck.
Seth Rawls, Andrew Rucker. David Tooker's got a ton of damage in the 19 car. Last week's winner, Justin Wadsworth, has damage.
That might have actually been 2 or 3 separate incidents happening at the same time. We'll have to see on the replay. There's the first one I saw. Gable.
Oh, yeah, there was 2 incidents.
Harold Campbell, but there's something happening. Yeah, this is...
Oh, man.
So there's Racimus in the wall. There's Gavin Hibbs and Seth Rawls coming together. Rawls comes down the track and collects Chad Frankenfield. This was just almost like a shotgun shell going off, honestly.
Yeah, got a bunch of different people. Ethan Burrell has requested a onboard, and here we are on board with the Pro Edge number 37. Spinning in front. Rucker's going to go run into his teammate. Racimus goes flying by. There goes Wadsworth down and hits into Mike DeWalt. Gavin Hibbs also collected in this.
Oh, you can see the left rear was not turning on the Gavin Hibbs machine as Burrell went by.
Not what you want. You know, you prefer all 4 tires turning on your race car.
I mean, there were a lot of good cars that got collected in this. I mean, there you see.
Oh, there goes Hunter Smith.
Involved. Yep. Johnny Thomas looks like he sneaked through.
So too did Ray Bracey in the 7. I believe so did Jordan Owens in the 16. Brent Jones, I think, is going to sneak through.
Gerald Campbell might have gotten lucky that he got booted to the grass right off the jump because it kind of got him out of harm's way here.
Yeah, I think he did. That was contact from Gable that got Gerald loose, but Gerald had been out of control for a lap or so here before this ever occurred.
Yeah, you could tell he was checking up, and then he goes for a slide here, but kind of in all of that, he didn't get hit by Chad Frankenfield when he got collected. He didn't end up having to dodge everybody on the racing surface. He might be really happy with Ryan Gable right now.
You think maybe? I'm not sure. Josh Adams, though, one of the more dominant cars tonight. One of the ones ran up front pretty much the entirety of the first 85 laps or so. Got shuffled out and wound up involved in this incident. We also lost Dustin Dewar after that last incident, who was one of our cars that ran up front. But our new race leader is Justin Vandermarl. He took the lead from Tyler Fode and then held on to it through the adventure that was those 2 laps before the caution. Scott Crump's up to second. He started this race way out the back. Then it's Ethan Stanley in third, who has won 3 races already this season. Then you got Jeff Green in fourth and Tyler Fode in fifth. Dave cycles us through the rest of the names that are up in the front of this field. How about Michael Hosack running 6th? Matthew Weeks will restart 7th. Jonathan Cutlip 8th, Chris Wright up to 9th, Leighton Norgard 10th. He kind of kicked off this incident. Ryan Gable 11th. He kicked off Gerald Campbell. Then Christopher is 12th. Mark Robilas is 13th. Ryan Schold 14th. As we look back, Justin Fortner 15th. Gerald Campbell 16th. Trey Holmes 17th. He made through there unscathed. Wadsworth's 18th. He's going to have some damage. That might be a lane to watch out for, that outside line with some damage there.
Yeah, I think, especially with the 6-lap rule, there's a strong chance this has got to be the end of the night for a couple of guys like Gavin Hibbs and Seth Rawls. They're still I'm showing them still with meatballs on pit road.
Josh Adams probably as well.
He doesn't have a meat.
Oh, Adams is back on track. Never mind.
Yeah.
He went a lap down to get the meatball cleared, it looks like.
So, anyway, we're about to go racing with about 25 laps to go here.
25 to go. Coming to 25 to go for Justin Vandermarl on the bottom of the racetrack. He's surrounded by Lake Norman Chevrolets. It's Scott Crump up at the top of the racetrack, and then behind him it's Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fode. Green flag is out for Vandermarl. He gets a big jump. We've seen that not be terribly useful tonight, but it does let you choose which lane you want to be in. Here in turn 1, Trey Holmes already 3 wide, bullying his way to the middle of the racetrack. In the back of the field, but up front, it's going to be those Lake Norman Chevys as Stanley and Fode jump to the outside.
And it was a jump to the outside with Ethan Stanley leading the way. Big move to get alongside Justin Vandermarl here. Now they've got to get hooked up and see if they can push themselves out front.
Yeah, here we go. Now it's time for the teamwork to get into effect as there go the Lake Norman Chevrolets. 1, 2, 3 up top.
Wide further back, we've got Christopher in the wall. They're going to keep it straight, but that was a very scary moment.
Yeah, Leighton Norgard, Gerald Campbell, now the ones in the middle of the racetrack. Up front, Scott Crump jumped to the bottom to block off the run by Jeff Green. He might end up with the race lead because of that. Crump working to the bottom of the racetrack. He's got drafting help from the non-Lake Norman Chevrolets. Now Green moves to the middle, and Justin Vandermarl through on the bottom.
Boy, oh boy, we are done playing around now. All the gloves are coming off. The cards are going on the table. 3 wide racing all over. We're still a good ways from. Look at that huge move.
From the bottom all the way to the top around Michael Hosack, who falls back in the 24, up into the top 10. How about that 96 car? Mark Robilas working the bottom of the racetrack in front of Ethan Burrell.
Mark Robilas working his way forward. He's now, I think, 4th in line on the bottom there behind Jonathan Cutlip. But right now you see Trey Holmes is trying to find somewhere to go. He wants to get in that middle lane, but he knows if he doesn't have any help, it's not going to work out for him.
Here he goes.
Here he goes.
Trey Holmes has made this a living off this inside lane move here where he's able to get to that middle lane. Ryan Gable trying to block it off. He gets sent up the racetrack. Now Chris Wright into the back of the 0-1. They almost wadded up, but keep it straight. That's kind of been the entirety of the night so far. Now right to the top of Ryan Gable.
Yeah, Trey Holmes, not a lot of patience for Ryan, kind of running 2 lanes there. Kind of
Oh,
forced him
Crump
to
sideways.
Oh, boy.
Vandermarl giving a huge shot to Crump. Now Weeks jumps to the middle lane. He'll get followed by Nick and Delicato trying to make his way back up from the damage. Up front, it's Crump, Vandermarl, and then a big gap to 3 wide behind.
And that middle lane just can't quite build up enough energy, but now Jonathan Cutlip's got to jump up and see if he can help it out. He's jumped from the bottom of the low lane to lead the middle lane here. Now he's thinking about dropping back to the bottom, but ultimately stays in line there.
He does. Does Jonathan Cutlip just running that middle, trying to pull back the outside lane using that left rear. Now Weeks tries to clear himself in front of Rabilas. He'll do it. The outside lane with the Lake Norman duo of Fody and Stanley start moving towards the front. Does Crump move up to block? Not yet. Crump glued to the bottom of the racetrack right now, using Vandermarl. That outside line starting to move forward. The Lake Norman cars now kind of controlling all 3 lanes here as Scott Crump continues to lead with just 19 laps to go.
I think the blessing and the curse for Scott Crump and Justin Vandermarl out front is I just don't know. As long as these guys keep running 3 wide, I mean, they're side drafting each other and all that. I don't know if any of these guys can break through and actually challenge the leaders like this.
No, he can. It's Matthew Weeks. He jumps up in front of Ethan Stanley. They all line up right there. Oh, Cutlip's going to be in the fence. A lot of visual damage. Don't know if that really wrecked anything. Fody now it gets shuffled to the bottom by Cutlip. Oh, Scott Crump got turned by Vandermarl. They're going to wreck the whole field. No, they didn't. It's just Crump. What was that? I don't think I've ever seen a car get sideways. The leader gets sideways in front of the whole field and not wad up 10 cars. It's just Scott Crump.
Boy, I'm going to be very curious to see this replay here. See them both aggressively move to the bottom.
Crump was, Vandermarl at that point was inside of Crump. And
is he, though?
Yeah, well, he was not clear, but I think Crump phased through the 9, and that kept the 9 from spinning down the track into other cars and collecting the rest. So Chris Wright should be thanking his lucky stars. Vandermarl, I don't think Vandermarl had been drafting with Crump. I don't think Vandermarl was really, because he had been blocked. I don't think he was trying to continue on and make a pass. I think he just caught the 90 at the wrong spot there. I think he will get the tally. Depends on what race control Robert Hill says, but that's my thought.
Man, that's...
We are very fortunate to have not wadded up 15 cars.
That should have been a huge wreck.
Vandermarl goes up the track and puts Stanley in the wall. But yeah, because Wright ends up not turned by hitting the 90, it keeps Weeks straight, it keeps Burrell straight. I'm willing to bet Vandermarl and Crump unhappy at one another over the radio at this point.
You would be correct.
Yeah, and Scott Crump definitely not having the best of years, was looking for a race win here. Feels like he got spun around. Obviously, no ruling from Robert Hill just yet, but here's the visual of Chris Wright phasing through the 90, and obviously not something you can do in real life, but definitely something that can happen here on iRacing. Ethan Stanley does get to the race lead, though, and that's a guy who's got 3 wins this season. He's out here trying to collect as many as he can. Vandermarl, I don't believe, has a single Elite Cup Series win. He'll be starting second here with Jonathan Cutlip, Vandermarl's teammate, starting third. Matthew Weeks starting fourth here. Tyler Fody fifth. Nick Delicato, who looks like he gained a little bit more damage, they're in sixth. Ethan Burrell looks like he's got a little bit more damage. He's in seventh. Cutlip's got some damage on his car. Stanley's got some damage on his car, and there's the tally for Justin Vandermarl. Race control does make the ruling that it was the 80 that spun the 90.
Yeah, that is indeed the ruling. Really close call there, but I feel like I personally agree with that call, but I could definitely see it going either way. Regardless, the net result is Vandermarle's got to get to restart up front here, and Scott Crump has a lot of work to do here with 15 laps to go as we're getting ready to go back green.
And then, there's 15 to go, but that's no guarantee you're going to get 15 laps to make passes if you're Scott Crump. You've got to be aggressive, and you've got to get as much as you can right now, and we'll see what happens as Ethan Stanley leads them down here.
What
I'm
is
not sure.
what
I'm
is
not sure
Chad
where Chad.
Beckerfield doing?
Not sure, but we're gonna chalk that up to he's heading to pit road, and Ethan Stanley's going to get us going to the green flag here. Stanley with a big jump on the field. We've seen it from the leader a number of times tonight. Vandermarle's got a huge push from Matthew Weeks right here. That outside line's really wound up. This field a little bit separated. I think there's some damaged cars holding back a few different rows. Up front, Justin Vandermarle down the back straightaway with a big push from Matthew Weeks. Clears by Ethan Stanley. Move the 80 car back to the point. Trey Holmes is 3 wide again. Those fueled up cars, they came to race tonight. I'll tell you what. Justin Vandermarle's up front. Trey Holmes is looking 3 wide on the 2 of Jeff Green. And there you go. Chad Frankenfield is retired from the race. That's why he heads down pit road.
I'm not gonna lie, that's impressive. They had, I believe, 4 or 5 sets of tires in the pits for the night. For him to go through all of them is
and still blow one out.
it's a gift.
Oh, 3 wide.
Gift. Oh,
3 wide for second. Nick Delicato to the top of the racetrack. That's going to help out Trey Holmes, who's already running up there. Vandermarle going to try to pull the middle and the top lane, but it's going to be in Delicato up top, I think, with the run. Yep, Vandermarle's now middle 3, but in Delicato in the wall. Looks like the finish of the spring Atlanta race here in the Cup Series. Oh, Vandermarle got turned by Weeks. Big crash in the front straightaway. Caution flag is out.
Oh, this is
Gable, Hosack,
Campbell, Brent Jones, Casey Hatch is in it, Wadsworth, Fody,
oh
Rucker,
my goodness,
Stouffer. Good luck. It's easier to say who isn't in that one, I'm afraid.
Who is not in it? Ethan Stanley is not in it. Nick Delicato not. Holmes not. Vandermarle not. Cutlip is not. All 3 of the field up cars not in it. Chris Wright made it through. Mark Robilas made it through.
So it looks like they get kind of just tangled up in this middle group here, right where you see Justin Vandermarle, Matthew Weeks. There it goes. And then they kind of wash into Tyler Fody. And now there's just cars everywhere there. You see Scott Crump is involved in that one. Justin Fortner.
Hunter Smith, Casey Hatch.
Yeah.
Owen sneaks his way through.
What a night he's had. He got a few more lawn clippings on his way through, but
check it out, even the pace car gets involved.
Brent Jones was almost through that and just barely got clipped by Ryan Gable. Michael Hosack was kind of checked up and then kind of locked it up under brakings. I think Mike DeWalt gets through this.
Here comes the pace car.
I've been told to get Ray Bracey's POV on this one as well.
Well, Justin Fortner's going to want to see that POV because he kind of got doored by Ray Bracey on the way through, but it does look like Bracey made it through, at least for his part, unscathed. We'll see.
DeWalt also had a really good view of this, but oh man. And almost gets hit by the spinning car
almost got by, I think that was Gerald Campbell at the last minute. That's probably when Ray had to move slightly to the left. I think that's when he may have gotten into Justin Fortner at that last minute trying to get around. Here's Mike DeWalt's perspective in the number 20 car, another Rookie of the Year contender.
Wadsworth nowhere to go, Fody nowhere to go. Norgard found his way through this thing. Norgard's going to be 9th. watching the aerial view once again. Watch Scott Crump pile into Justin Wadsworth right here, by the way. Lake Norman on Lake Norman violence right there.
Even more
I
Lake
think
Norman
Crump gets
violence
run
coming
into-
up.
Yeah, I think he runs into Tyler Fode right after. Campbell wrecked, Weeks wrecked.
Trump just needed to go find Gable, and he got all of them.
Mm-hmm. A tough night for Lake Norman Motorsports. As I believe that was that's all their cars except for Ethan Stanley, the race leader.
Oh, look at this top 10, David.
It's not what we were expecting, I think. Ethan Stanley leading, maybe we did expect that. That's kind of been the case all season long. But Nick Indelicado's been up front all night, but he has also been wrecked a couple of times. Trey Holmes and Justin Vandermarl have had a very impressive night. Those fueled up racing Chevys have been really strong. I would not count them out here with 8 laps to go. That's also Jonathan Cutlip, their teammate. But then look at the group behind, right? Chris Wright. Last year just had a disaster of a season. He's up here in 6th. Mark Rabilis, who made it through that wreck unscathed, made it through the potential announcer's jinx because we pointed him out already. He's right there in 7th. Jeff Green in 8th. He's been up and down all night. Like Norgard 9th. He snaked his way through that wreck, and it looks like Gerald's car is okay. He's running 10th.
Against all odds, Gerald Campbell's still hanging out there in 10th, and is that Ryan Schold in 11th? That's another one that has...
Yeah, he's bounced off of a number of things tonight.
Been involved in a couple of these incidents as well, but he's made his way up front. Mike DeWalt looks like he's got to line up 13th. Tyler Fode somehow, after being in that most recent incident, lining up 12th.
How about our guy Jordan Mowens down there in 17th. He might have a chance to pull out another top 10 finish here if he can keep it clean, maybe keep to the grass the last couple of laps here.
Well, pace car about to pull off here, and we'll see what happens in these final 7 laps.
Ethan Stanley, the race leader, Nick Indelicato to his outside. Then it's a fueled up party behind. Into the restart zone. Green flag for Ethan Stanley. A big jump for he and Indelicato. Indelicato keeping that 91 car close. A really good restart by that outside lane.
Off they go into turn 1. Gerald Campbell already looking at that high side. Couldn't quite make it work, but I think there are some willing participants back there. Jeff Green looks like he might be willing to give that.
It's going to rack him. Yep, Rabilis. Yeah, that was not going to work at no point. They trying to force 3 wide where there would be no 3 wide happening on that one. Unfortunately, it's Chris Wright that gets spun out and collected. Jeff Green was involved. Mark Rabilis obviously taken out. I think Jeff got antsy because Gerald tried to take him 3 wide, and Chris was a little bit further back. And as soon as Jeff moved down the track, he just caught and pulled the 96, the car around right in front of him. Got Tyler Fode in there as well. Fortner gets Josh Personette, who had been up into the top 15. Oh, and Hosak's going to get into the 9.
Tally issued to the 2 car of Jeff Green.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't take 3 wide where there's no lane to go 3 wide. As a bunch of those guys pitting for fixing their damage.
Well, it took a few extra laps, but you sufficiently announcer jinxed Mike Rebelis, so you have that to be proud of.
Proud is not the way we look. I'm just distributing my pain from being announcer jinxed last Thursday. Scott Crump just knocked the wall down trying to go on Gerald Campbell. I think he did. We only have like 15 cars.
I don't think he was trying to. I think he was the. Yeah, he's the free pass, so that's why he was trying to get around there. But yeah, I think he did find the wall.
There's a lot of damaged race cars. If I'm going with undamaged cars, I'm looking at the 80, the 88, the 5, the 12, the 20 maybe. And we saw Ray get some damage. We saw Johnny Thomas get some damage. Maybe Jordan? Is Jordan Owens one of the 5 cars with no damage so far?
He very well could be.
At the risk of announcers jinxing him, what a night for Jordan Owens.
It has been adventurous, to say the least.
adventurous. I mean, he carved a new racing line on the front straightaway. He's up here in 13th. I'm very impressed with the night Jordan Owens has had, and really the season Jordan Owens has had. I mean, he has been firmly in the playoffs as a Chase member all season long. Finished 5th at Texas. He's just had a great year as Jordan Owens, and sometimes it's your year. I don't think anybody, and I don't think Jordan would tell you he on pace. He's as fast as Ethan Stanley or Tyler Fode, but Jordan is the kind of racer that keeps it clean. He does his best, and if the chips fall his way, he can pull out good finishes. And look at what's happening this season.
If I heard Robert Hill correctly about 30 seconds ago, I believe I heard him say there are currently 0 cars in our field sitting on 0x incident points for the evening.
I can take a look at that. Nobody's got 0. See, the lowest is I can't sort it by where they're running. Josh Adams only has 4. Seth Sproul has 4. I think he's wrecked. Ray Bracey's only got 4, and that was probably that contact with Justin Fortner dodging the one wreck. Johnny Thomas has 4. I think that was in the one big wreck. About it. Everybody else is sitting 8 and up. Josh Adams has 4. So there's more to gather. There's still 4 laps.
Maybe we might go to overtime.
All right. There's four potentially laps left, and probably more. Nick Delicato, the race leader now, with Justin Vandermarl to his outside. The fueled up Chevys are teamed up on the top lane, and Delicato and Stanley teamed up on the bottom. Pace car is off. Green flag is out. Delicato goes right at the start of the restart zone. That'll try to pull Ethan Stanley clear of the fueled up cars. I don't think he's going to get clear and be able to move to the top. He might.
And not only were they not able to get clear from the bottom, I think the fueled up cars had at least considering dropping to the bottom, and they couldn't do that either. Jonathan Cutlip, which just...
Here they go. As Rucker just bounced it off the fence. And here, big late block by Delicato on Vandermarl. Vandermarl gives Delicato a shot up the hill. Here comes the 80 of Vandermarl.
Vandermarl almost certainly to the lead. No help there for Nick and Delicato for now.
Fueled up 1, 2, 3. 2 laps to go. Fueled up 1, 2, 3. Justin Vandermarl, Trey Holmes tandeming out front. Jonathan Cutlip leading the bottom lane, and Delicato up top behind. Josh Adams just bounced it off the fence. No caution. Still green here at Atlanta. They're coming around for the white flag. Stanley looking to the top of the racetrack on Delicato. They'll make contact.
If somebody from this second pack has got to do something, they've got to form a run. They've got to make it happen fast. White flag is out here at Atlanta, and it's a 2-car breakaway out front.
Jordan Owens is the one making a run. In the 16 car, he's to the bottom of Ethan Stanley and Ryan Schold. Up front, here comes Mike DeWalt pushing Jonathan Cutlip.
Yeah, they got out of shape down the backstretch. Cutlip had a run, but now they're kind of disjointed. I don't know. I think it's got to be between these 2 fueled up cars.
Trey Holmes looking as they rack behind. Trey Holmes is not going to get it done. It's Justin Vandermarl winning at Atlanta. Behind him, across the line, it is Jonathan Cutlip, Ray Bracey, Johnny Thomas. What a top 5. Man.
Time winner in the Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series, Justin Vandermarl.
That is a podium sweep for fueled up racing. The first top 5 finish for Ray Bracey and his team, South Shore Racing. And that's another top 5 finish for Johnny Thomas. Chris Stouffer's going to come home 6th. Ryan Schuld's going to come home 7th. Gerald Campbell's going to cross 8th. Jordan Owens still picks up the top 10 in 9th. Ethan Stanley winds up 10th. Mike DeWalt was, 4th coming off of turn 4? He finishes 15th. Can we, Dave, as we watch Vandermarl celebrate, can we get a last lap shot here, please? My goodness. There's Scott Crump joining in on the celebration. I'm sure that's all positive. We need to watch the 5 and the 20, I believe, as well. Because that's where the wreck happened, was them catching Jonathan Cutlip and Mike DeWalt. So it's Campbell into the back of Owens, and it turns Owens up the track and into DeWalt. Look at Ray Brace. He jumped to the bottom 6 wide to clear through there for 4th spot, and there they go sliding across the line. And a gigantic pile up behind. That's about right. That's about exactly how this race was going to end.
Jordan Owens is going to end up coming away with a 9th place finish, and again, that's exactly what he needed for his season, but I'm sure he had hopes of getting a little bit more considering where he was running coming out of turn 4 there.
I'm sure, yeah. And even to be disappointed with a 9th place finish after the night he had, that's the kind of night
for sure
you want
for sure.
you want that kind of night every single week you can get it. Nick and Delicato finishes 12th, Tyler Fody 14th. Looking back through the field here, some of those guys, Josh Adams winds up 23rd. He was up front all night. Scott Crump finishes 25th after all the damage and stuff that he got into. And here's your final finishing order. And we might have to do something. We might have to pull up all the fueled up guys or something, try and get a little group interview going. That might be difficult, but it might be worth it because that's a podium sweep for an organization that I know for a fact has endured some really trying times this season with the connection issues and everything at Daytona. And what an exciting finish for those guys. So we'll start by bringing up John, but we might just leave him in here. So Jonathan Cutlip, P3 tonight, buddy. Looked like you were throwing some blocks there at the end playing Dale Earnhardt in the 2001 Daytona 500. What was that finish like for you?
It's kind of funny because I just had my teammates out in front of me, and it's pretty much what it felt like. I just wanted to make sure that we locked out the top 2 at least. You know, whatever happened to me, whatever happens. But, dude, Justin's first win, Trey able to push him all the way at the end there. Me coming in 3rd was just a bonus.
Giving him a...
You got me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So John, and I'm after the connection issues and stuff between you and Justin and Trey for the Daytona 500 and the subsequent races where it really kind of derailed your guys' season. I mean, what does a podium sweep mean for you? I want to say you're the team owner, but it could be one of the other guys. What does that mean for you guys as a kind of an organization? Knowing that you started off the season so poorly.
Well, the team owner is Casey Hatch. He's
right.
Loving the top 3. He was super excited to see that tonight. But as far as the season, I kind of just come into this, I get to hang out with friends every Wednesday. It's a blast to just come in and race. Just something fun to do that, we can all do because it's, busy schedules, just different paths that we've taken on our racing too. We don't get to do it a lot, but yeah, Justin's been really frustrated with how his season's been going. He's been hard on himself, hoping to just get some finishes going in his way, and he's improved a lot the last couple of seasons. But to see him pull off a win here was pretty special to see.
I was checking in real quick, and it looks like obviously still waiting to make sure it's all official, but I mean, good points night for you as well, coming home 3rd. It's kind of put you right on that cutoff to get back into this playoff picture. So, I mean, good big picture night for you as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. This in Daytona is like one of those races where it could swing either way. Like a lot of people can run up front and just capture lightning in a bottle essentially, and just like Justin just come up, and he's really strong at play tracks. Like, he's underrated. I don't feel like a lot of people notice that, but he is pretty consistent on play tracks. It's just here in Daytona, it's just always one of those lotteries to where you can run well and crash at the end, or just something cannot go your way and you just end up like 15th or 30th. You never really know. So it's just 2 variables that you really hope go your way, but you kind of like plan for it to not go your way. So to be on the cut with after the season we've had, we'll take it.
Yeah, you're proving me wrong. I keep saying how you got to win a race. John's got to win a race, but kind of doesn't look like it at this point. Any shout outs here for us, John, before we send you off for this P3?
Yeah, it's been a frustrating season, but to be in the points battle with the season we've had, I'm proud of that. But shout out to Fueled Up, Justin, Trey getting top 2. I got third, of course. That was pretty cool for me. Shout out Race EPI, North Force. They got the championship last night in the Coke Series with Parker White, so that was pretty cool to see. And yeah, shout you guys out. It's cool to have a structure like this, and you guys put in a lot of hard work, and I'm sure this is frustrating for you guys sometimes when races get a little messy, but I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it as much as we are.
Well, we definitely are, John. This was an exciting one, honestly. You guys ran it really hard and really aggressively. We had a good time watching it, at least on my end. So
yeah, it was a little bit of a snooze fest at the start, but after halfway, it was definitely more fun.
Yep. So that's third place, John Cutlip. You got anything else, John?
No, thank you, guys.
All right, let's send him off here, and we'll grab those other Fueled Up cars. Casey Hatch owns Fueled Up. I think I knew that. It's just there's a lot of guys that pull through here. I don't know exactly who the team owners are, but let's grab P2, Trey Holmes. And Trey, with a P2 here at Atlanta, I think you went and got your first Elite Cup Series win last year. Were you, looking to push your buddy all the way home there to the line? Looked like you didn't even really pull out and make a move.
I was fully committed. I'm going to be honest with you. I was fully committed. After the seasons we've had so far, it only seemed right to push him to victory.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be just a great feeling. Team sweep of the podium, being able to push Justin to his first win. Kind of what was going through your mind, and what was the celebration like after you got the checkered flag?
It was very loud, very, very loud. I was honestly glad that I think it was, I don't remember who restarted third on that last restart, but I was kind of glad to lose that and start fourth, because I knew then I was just going to be fully committed to go wherever he went. And once we pulled away, I knew if I made a move, it was a pretty good chance that they would catch us, and then who knows what happens then. So I just take the points, hope he enjoys it, and we move on to Martinsville.
Yeah, Trey, and it's one of those things where teamwork is always part of this thing, and it's part of the fun of running these iRacing leagues. And to see your buddy get his first win, knowing you've got one in the bank, and to run the race you did where you were really fast all night. I mean, you'll see it back. You were really, really good, and we talked about you all night long. And take me through the aggressive moves you made to get back to the front, because you were taking everybody 3 wide. But unlike some of the other ones, it seemed to always work for you, where you were never putting your car in a spot that caused a big wreck.
It's just trying to play the runs, trying to see. I noticed when I would make the run in 3 to the outside, I knew the outside line would move up to the wall so I could get the draft to pull me and then get back in line. And that's all I was trying to do, just pick them off one at a time and try to figure out how I was going to get back to the front, because I felt really good the entire race. Some of the checkups were scary. I'll be honest. Some of those were very sketchy, but we found a way. We found a way. It's the same mentality I've taken at Talladega and Daytona recently. Just be very aggressive, and whatever happens, happens.
And Trey, you got any shout outs for us here before we send you off tonight?
I definitely want to shout out Fueled Up, and congrats to Justin. He deserves it. It's been a tough season for him with the computer issues, bad luck, what have you. So he deserves this more than anybody. And it was fun. It was fun. I would gladly take second tonight.
Awesome. Well, that's Trey Holmes, your second place finisher, your runner up, and congrats, Trey, and we'll see you next week, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Let's grab race winner Justin Vandermarl and bring him to the booth. And Justin, first of all, congratulations on your first Elite Cup Series win. Is this your first Elite win? Or
In
if you
general,
pulled one off
yeah.
later. Yeah,
I've
that's
been
what
on
I
the
thought.
podium a couple times, but this is the first time on the top step, so this one's pretty cool.
Take us through the rest, like the last couple of laps there, the last couple of restarts. I mean, you did not have control of the race every time, but it seems like your teammates were always there to help pick you up, and then you had one of the cleanest cars down to the stretch at the end.
Yeah, there was one restart. I think it was me versus like 4 or 5 Lake Norman cars, and I was kind of just like, begging for some help. Those are some guys you necessarily don't want to be around by yourself at plate tracks. They know what they're doing to get things done. So Trey made some great moves. I think it was with Ethan to move up the field from where he was, and to put himself in the top 5 there. And I owe a lot to John and Trey. Basically, John was just calling himself Dale Earnhardt the whole time, blocking for everybody. So Trey was committed to my back bumper, which was pretty awesome. I owe everything to them tonight. I think I should probably say some words about the incident with the 90. Everyone was probably wondering about that. While he did block me, I feel like he blocked me twice looking at it, because I got a huge run down the back from the 11, but the gap was a brief moment there when he moved up the track, and then I did end up turning him, unfortunately. So I want to apologize to Scott for that one. I mean, you never want to wreck anybody for it, but it comes down to it, you got to go, right? So it's a plate track. It's cool to get a win. I like this place. I'm probably one of the few, so getting a win here is pretty cool. I just need to put it together everywhere else, and hopefully we can get our way into the playoffs. So it'll be pretty cool.
Definitely super exciting for you to get this first win. What are kind of the emotions as it's starting to set in here after this win?
I think it's a big sigh of relief, honestly. After the season we've had, I think I haven't talked to you guys since Daytona, when like half of our team lagged out of the lobby. So trying to build up points back from those races, it's definitely a steep hill, and this certainly helps the case, which is pretty awesome. You never forget your first one, which this one will be, stuck in my memory for a while.
Yeah, Justin, and what are you gonna do to celebrate here tonight? We've seen some some videos posted by some of your team guys and friends there in the Pro Edge group. What's the victory celebration gonna be like tonight?
So I guess the whole thing we got going on here for Elite is I got to do a shot and video of myself and post in the chat. So we'll probably get to doing that here in a couple minutes, but we'll see about that.
Yeah. Well, any thoughts going forward? I'm not entirely. Zach might be able to properly articulate this, but what do you think you have to do to get into the playoffs here? I know you're gonna have to be a top 25 in points, I think, and you're pretty far down the list. But a win helps the points, right?
Yeah, I think it's top 25 or top 30. So I got 40 points tonight. I did, however, get another race with a tally, so that's hurts my. I think I lost 10 points again. And then with Martinsville and Iowa coming up, it's not great for the incident points. So we'll see. Hopefully we can keep our nose clean there and knock a couple of those dirty races off the record and move up a bit more.
Awesome. Any shout outs here before we send you off tonight, Justin?
I need to thank the entire, I'm going to call it the squad, Pro Edge / Fueled Up / Mountain Man. You guys know everybody over there. Trey and John specifically, Casey Hatch, Josh Personet, Matthew Weeks is a big part of, why I'm on the sim and how many races I do a week. So hanging out with those guys is really awesome. Ethan and Tate and Tucker, and we're just pretty much a big family over there. So we're all cheering for each other, and I really owe it all to them, how much I've come in the series here.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your first Elite win, Justin, and enjoy it tonight, man. You only get your first one time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And with that kind of closes out our coverage tonight. A first-time winner in all of Elite, Justin Vandermarl. He's been here a long time, too. This is a guy that has been paying his dues for a while. It's good to see him get a win.
And, I was kind of sitting over here looking through the winners. I know he's not the first international winner in Elite. He's not, I believe, Old Bobby Mountain has a cup win. And of course, if you go way back to 2020, Anders Krohn also is an Elite Cup Series winner. But definitely nice to get that international flavor in Victory Lane. Also, I mean, we told you. We talked about it after Bristol last time out. These last few races going into the end of the regular season, what a wild card they're going to be. Justin Vandermarl picking up the win tonight. Next time out, it'll be Martinsville. We know what kind of race that's probably going to be for 250 laps. Following that, the full distance race at Iowa, and then, of course, Daytona to close out the regular season. We still got a few more thrills to unfold before we find out who's going to make this playoff field.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, and we'll update you with the points in our pre-race show next week. We're gonna be at, I believe, Iowa.
Martinsville is next.
Martinsville.
Week.
Oh well, okay. Well, Martinsville next week. Another chaos race, right? But it should be fun. Definitely tune in for us, and I'm sure we'll see these guys bouncing off each other once again. Mad as a hat once again, and more rivalries created, and we'll see who comes out on top next week at Martinsville. But for David Westergreen, Zach Evans, and David Huckleberry, this has been the Gaming Life 200 for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series on the Elite Racing Network. We'll see you guys next week.